empower Global South to create a more inclusive world for all nations. No compromise in implementing visa liberalization plan. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight. My name is Darryl Baptist. We begin tonight's bulletins with updates from our Prime Minister. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has called for the championing the rise of the Global South, fostering a world where every nation has a seat at the table and a voice in shaping a collective future. In a Facebook post today, Datuk Seri Anwar said this is because the Global South is changing and witnessing shifts within Western countries. For instance, Spain, Ireland and Norway are becoming more assertive and unapologetically taking different positions on global issues. The Prime Minister said this indicates a move towards a truly global perspective, where diverse voices and viewpoints are increasingly recognized and respected. Datuk Seri Anwar also said that he and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva are committed to pushing this agenda forward. Reflecting on the days of Zhou Enlai, Sukarno and Nyerere during the Asia-Africa Bandung Conference in 1955, the Prime Minister noted that it is clear that while the world has evolved, general condescending attitudes and colonial mindsets persist. Adding to that, Datuk Seri Anwar said the rates of civil servants' salary increase, which will be implemented from December this year, will be announced before the tabling of the 2025 budget in October. The Prime Minister stated that the upcoming announcement will align with the current workload and economic conditions.
Seperti mana saya sebut di Parlimen semalam, saya seperti bapa dalam kerajaan ini. Dan kita lihat umpamanya sudah sekian lama tidak ada satu kenaikan yang bermakna gaji pejabat awam, dalam keadaan kita bagi tekanan lebih kuat sekarang. Kerja mesti kuat, pemantauan lebih kuat dan penguatkuasa semasuk SPRM itu lebih hebat.
The review of the Public Service Remuneration System, or SSPA, was undertaken by the Unity Government last year, after the last review of the salary scheme was conducted in 2013. Following the completion of the review on 1st of May this year, Datuk Seri Anwar announced that civil servants will enjoy a salary hike of more than 13% starting December this year, the highest increase in the nation's history. The government will not compromise on security aspects in implementing the Visa Liberalisation Plan, or PLV. Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said that while the government wishes to attract tourists from abroad to Malaysia, strict measures are being taken.
Sementara kita nak orang masuk, kita tidak akan kompromis isu keselamatan. Misalnya kalau dia masuk, kita wajibkan sekarang ni dia kena isi Malaysia Digital Arrival Card. Itu wajib. Daripada situ kita tahu dia tinggal di mana, alamat dia di mana, dan kalau jika berlaku umpamanya dia terlebih tinggal, kita akan segera cari dia di tempat itu. Okey? Kita akan ketatkan kawalan dan pemeriksaan pintu masuk.
PLV aims to generate national income and will be implemented with improvements to the existing immigration facilities enjoyed by travellers to Malaysia, including those from Europe, Southeast Asia and West Asia. Datuk Seri Saifuddin said as of 1st January, a total of 7,975 operations had been carried out, with 76,477 foreigners inspected. Of that number, 20,207 were found without valid documents and had been repatriated to their home countries. More updates from the government. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability will be enforcing amendments to the Environmental Quality Act 1974, Act 127, which will see heavier fines imposed on parties involved in the illegal importation of electronic waste, also known as e-waste. Minister Rasmi Ahmad said the gazetting of the amendments will come into effect on 7th July.
Pindaan itu telah pun diluluskan di peringkat Dewan Rakyat dan dalam proses pewartaan, dan saya pun telah tanda tangan untuk tarikh penguatkuasaan dia bermula Julai, 7 Julai. So selepas ini dia punya denda lebih tinggi dan dia ada penjara, ada mandatory dan sebagainya lah. Jadi itu antara usaha kita untuk membendung masalah inilah.
The amendment would, among other things, see a maximum fine of up to 10 million ringgit imposed on those who commit offences under the Act. Based on JKDM information, as many as 106 of the 301 containers detained from 21st March to 19th June contained e-waste, which was believed to be illegally imported from Western countries. Getting involved in drug distribution to gain quick cash and be wealthy is an unworthy path leading to imprisonment, isolation and remorse. In conjunction with the World Drug Day, journalist Maysara Fauzi delved into the regrets of an ex-prisoner who was arrested for distributing 50.65 kilograms of marijuana and sat behind bars for 23 years.
The ex-convict, known as Rafi, turned to drug dealing at the age of 29 after giving into peer pressure and the desire to become rich overnight. He was arrested 6 months after his involvement in the crime. Rafi started to repent while serving his sentence in Kluang Prison in Johor, aided by the support of his family, friends and an Islamic preacher.
Dia memang insaf lah kan benda ni. Pasal benda ni angka dah duduk dalam 23 tahun. Memang tak boleh nak kat apa lah. Benda tu kita lakukan dan kita akan melalui dengan tabah. Kesal memang kesal lah kan. Pasal yang kita dapat melawat arwah bapak meninggal.
Rafi gained valuable experiences during his time in prison, learning the true significance of discipline. Initially condemned to death by hanging, he felt a sense of relief upon discovering that his sentence had been commuted to 30 years in prison. Moreover, Rafi was granted a pardon by the prison authorities, leading to his release last November. Similar to many former inmates, Rafi encountered difficulties securing employment to support himself after spending years behind bars.
Alhamdulillah ada member yang buka warung masa tu, dia cakap dia suruh ke kerja dengan dia, buat air, ke kerja dengan dia. Lepas tu sampai bulan puasa, dalam kita main order je dengan keluarga kan. Dia cakap ni pun. Tapi kita tahu kehidupan luar macam mana. Bila dah kat luar baru kita tahu begitu susah kan.
Rafi currently works in a school canteen in Johor Bahru. Despite his negative experiences, he left valuable advice for younger generations.
Ingat dulu kan sebelum buat. Nanti dia dah duduk macam kan, kerja macam kan, tak guna. Masa muda, habis kat dalam penjara. Boleh jangan terjebak dengan benda ni semua. Tak ada gunanya. Adakah kita nak hidup dalam ketakutan? Bila kita langkah, balik rumah, bila terdetik, bunyi sikit, kita dah ingat polis datang. Lebih tak payah buat. Sedangkan itu semua tak ada guna.
The story of Rafi teaches us to stop judging people based on their past and instead support them in any way and encourage them to stay drug-free. Learn from past mistakes and remember, drug is nation's enemy. Maysara Fauzi, RTM.
to strengthen against USD in Q4 of 2024. That and more coming up in our business segment. Welcome back. This is our business segment. We kick it off with updates from Bank Negara Malaysia, or BNM, who may take supervisory actions and impose penalties on violations of regulatory provisions under its supervision following the recent incidents of online banking services outage. Deputy Finance Minister Lim Hui Ying said the appropriate follow-up actions are provided under the Financial Services Act 2013, or FSA, and the Islamic Financial Services Act 2013, IFSA, would depend on an assessment of the root cause and impact of the disruptions from the affected institutions.
Berkenaan insiden-insiden gangguan perkhidmatan atas talian yang berlaku kebelakangan ini, Bank Negara Malaysia telah mengambil tindakan segera mengarahkan institusi-institusi pembangkang yang terlibat menentukan punca utama gangguan itu berlaku dan seterusnya menetapkan langkah pembetulan dan pencegahan yang sesuai bagi mengelakkan isu yang sama berulang.
In addition, the Deputy Minister said the banks have been instructed to communicate with affected customers, including responding immediately to any complaints and inquiries caused by the disruptions. Furthermore, she said BNM is closely monitoring the situation to ensure that the banking institutions involved restore normal banking services as soon as possible. Under the FSA 2013 and the IFSA 2013, BNM has the authority to impose supervisory and enforcement actions against financial institutions found to be non-compliant with any provision of the relevant policy document. Adding to that, the Deputy Minister said the ringgit is expected to be stronger against the US dollar in the last quarter of 2024. She said the performance of the ringgit is on the right track in strengthening against the greenback over the last few months, based on the economic and investment performance. In February, Finance Minister 2, Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan, targeted the value of the ringgit to be traded at 4 ringgit 50 sen against the US dollar at the end of the year, driven by the country's positive economic position.
Selain itu, Malaysia terus merekodkan kejayaan dalam menarik pelaburan asing dengan pelaburan diluluskan melonjak pada suku pertama tahun ini. Perkembangan ini menunjukkan bahawa pelabur semakin yakin terhadap perkembangan ekonomi negara dan usaha-usaha yang dilakukan oleh kerajaan.
Lim said the government also expects this inflow of funds and foreign investment to continue and further strengthen the ringgit. The country recorded an approved investment of 83.7 billion ringgit for the first quarter of this year, an increase of 13% year-on-year, and of that amount, 47 billion ringgit was foreign direct investment, while 36.7 billion ringgit was domestic direct investment. Lim further noted that the ringgit was also the only regional currency that strengthened by 1.4% against the US dollar since 26 February this year. The Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Ministry, also known as KUSCOP, has disbursed over 1.6 billion ringgit to implement various programs for entrepreneurs and cooperatives in Sabah and Sarawak last year. Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Minister Dato' Iwan Benedict said that of this amount, 953.9 million ringgit was allocated for Sabah and 731.2 million ringgit for Sarawak. Among the programs implemented was the Bumiputra Enterprise Enhancement Program, also known as BEEP. plus Sabah and Sarawak by SME Corp, which approved grants totaling 9.4 million ringgit for 112 micro-entrepreneurs.
Bagi tempoh 2021 hingga 31 Mei 2024, SME Corp juga telah melaksanakan program Tunas Usahawan Belia Bumi Putra ataupun ringkasnya TUB di Sabah dan Sarawak yang memberi manfaat kepada seramai 1,171 orang usahawan belia dengan grant berjumlah 17.1 juta ringgit.
The minister further noted that the ministry also conducted the New Gen Entrepreneurs Online Bootcamp, also called NGEN, Graduate Capacity and Employability, called GRACE, program for TVET graduates, and the Studentpreneur and Biz Apprenticeship, known as SPACE program, under the Professional Training and Education for Growing Entrepreneurs, also known as Prodigy, benefiting 48 entrepreneurs. It also provided commercialization and marketing platforms through exhibitions and product sales to local entrepreneurs via the One District, One Industry Showcase, or SDSI, in Sabah and Sarawak. The initiative to elevate production up the value chain will position Malaysia as the forefront, or rather at the forefront, of the semiconductor industry. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the move presents an opportunity for Malaysia to play a pivotal role in the global supply chain, especially amid the trade tensions between the US and China as companies are reconfiguring their supply chains.
Because of the tech war between US and China, the same companies reallocating, redesigning their supply chain. But at the same time, we also need to know where we are in that.
Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said Malaysia can and will leverage its mature industrial infrastructure with good connectivity, rule of law, strategic location, and ease of doing business to further integrate ourselves into the global semiconductor value chain. Furthermore, he said transitioning to advanced packaging in the semiconductor industry demands substantial capital expenditure, which poses a challenge given the current fiscal constraints. The minister noted that the government is confident with the strong foundation in the semiconductor industry. Malaysia can be a true semiconductor powerhouse, not just in assembly, but also in innovation and design. Malaysia recorded foreign direct investment, or FDI, net inflows of 40.4 billion ringgit in 2023 from 75.4 billion ringgit the previous year. Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM's Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said the decrease in FDI net inflows was mainly in equity and investment fund shares, reflecting the global economic slowdown. However, DOSM said the cumulative value of foreign investment, known as the FDI position, rose to 926 billion ringgit at the end of 2023. Making up 50.8% of gross domestic product, or GDP, versus 49% in 2022, primarily attributed to non-transaction categories. It said on average, the return on investment, or ROI, for FDI companies in 2023 fell to 10 sen for every 1 ringgit of investment from 12 sen in the previous year. Concurrently, Malaysian companies received 6 sen for every 1 ringgit of investment made abroad, it added. On direct investment abroad, or DIA, DOSM noted that the net outflow narrowed to 40.6 billion ringgit in 2023 from 62.8 billion ringgit in the preceding year, mostly contributed by the services sector, with a value of 34.5 billion ringgit, primarily in financial and insurance and takaful activities, as well as utilities. Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the services sector remained the primary contributor of DIA by registering an accumulated amount of 461.1 billion ringgit in 2023, trailed by mining and quarrying, 80.5 billion ringgit, and manufacturing at 60 billion ringgit. MIDF research anticipates Malaysia's equity market will continue its positive momentum in the second half of this year. In its market report today, MIDF research said that the local equity market has performed relatively well thus far this year, with its main benchmark FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI recording a gain of 9.3% year to date. MIDF research said that the positive market momentum was driven by foreign funds, which arguably played a major role in driving up the local equity market this year. From early January to 27th February, the local equity market recorded net foreign purchases of 2.4 billion ringgit, which the FBM KLCI rose 104 points. From 23rd April to 23rd May, the local equity market recorded net foreign purchases of 3.7 billion ringgit, and the FBM KLCI rose 82 points to its highest daily close thus far this year at 1,629 points. MIDF research said it expects to see a resumption of foreign fund inflows as early as in third quarter of this year. It said that the positive market momentum premised on healthy fundamentals, and the boost driving up the local equity market thus far this year were premised on healthy macro and corporate earnings performance. The Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM as some of us call it, said Malaysia's total services trade registered 433.2 billion ringgit in 2023, representing 23.8% of gross domestic product or GDP at current prices. The deficit in services for 2023 improved to 43.2 billion ringgit against a deficit of 58.2 billion ringgit in 2022. DOSM, through a statement released, said exports of services grew 37.9% to 195 billion ringgit from 141.4 billion ringgit in 2022, while imports of services rose 19.3% to 238.2 billion ringgit from the preceding year. It said travel, the main contributor to the services trade, is still catching up to almost pre-pandemic highs. DOSM said Singapore was the primary destination for Malaysia's services export, with a value of 55.3 billion ringgit compared to 37.5 billion ringgit in the previous year. The United States ranked the second highest export destination with 36.6 billion ringgit, followed by China with 12.9 billion ringgit. In the meantime, DOSM said the US became the main source for services import, valued at 76.1 billion ringgit in 2023, particularly in travel, other business services and transport. This was followed by Singapore with 41.3 billion ringgit and the United Kingdom at 13.3 billion ringgit. DOSM said that overall, Malaysia's services trade performance in 2023 demonstrated significant growth in line with global trends.
Malaysia antara 10 negara dengan kadar transplantasi terendah di dunia pada tahun 2021. Kini, anda boleh mendaftarkan diri sebagai penderma organ melalui MySejahtera. Jom daftar dan kemas kini sebagai pengikrar derma organ. Satu ikrar, sejuta harapan. Untuk maklumat lanjut, layari www.dermaorgan.gov.my.
Hello again, you're watching Malaysia Tonight as we continue with our business segment. The Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC countries, Malaysia, Indonesia and Turkey are becoming significant emerging market, or EM, debt issuers. According to Fitch Ratings, through a statement released in the first 5 months of 2024, these countries accounted for 51% of all US dollar debt issued by EMS excluding China. The credit rating agency expect the growth to continue in 2024-2025, driven by government initiatives to develop the debt capital markets, or DCM, diversifying funding sources, finance fiscal deficits, government projects and maturing debts. Sukuk is also emerging as a key funding and policy tool, accounting for 12.4% of all EM dollar debt issued so far in 2024. Fitch highlighted that the inclusion of the GCC, Malaysia, Turkey, and Indonesia in global bond indices supports dollar bond demand from international investors. In Malaysia, Sukuk constitutes the majority of domestic DCM issuances at 60%, compared to 56% in Saudi Arabia and 55.3% in Indonesia, and remains significant in other countries. Fitch also noted that Malaysia's slightly expansionary 2024 budget would drive DCM growth, with several development initiatives planned under the Madani Economy Framework. Moving on, Malaysia's air passenger traffic recorded a significant 12.2% year-on-year increase to 8 million in May 2024, and a 0.8% month-on-month rise compared to April of this year as well. According to the Malaysian Aviation Commission, also known as MAVCOM, Executive Chairman Datuk Seri Saripudin Kasim, the growth was primarily driven by increased international travel, with both ASEAN and non-ASEAN regions contributing despite a slight decrease in domestic traffic from the previous month. He said the May 2024 traffic figures demonstrate the resilience and ongoing recovery of the aviation sector, particularly in international traffic, which is a positive indicator of global travel and tourism health. According to MAVCOM, total air passenger traffic for May 2024 has reached 97.2% of pre-pandemic levels, with international passenger traffic showing remarkable resilience, achieving 99.8% of May 2019 levels with 4.1 million passengers. For the first 5 months of 2024, cumulative air passenger traffic stood at 38.5 million, a 16% year-on-year increase from 33.2 million during the same period in 2023. International air passenger traffic, meanwhile, surged to 19.9 million, marking a 38.3% increase from 14.4 million in the first 5 months of 2023. Hong Kong's economy saw an impressive growth of 2.7% in the first quarter of this year, surpassing expectations driven primarily by robust consumer spending. According to data released by the Hong Kong Census and Statistics Department, private consumption has increased by 1% in the first quarter and maintained growth for 6 consecutive quarters, accounting for over 70% of the overall economy. During the first 4 months of this year, the number of visitors to Hong Kong reached 14.62 million, doubling the year-on-year figures, with an average hotel occupancy rate of around 80%. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, or SAR government, estimates that every 1.5 million tourists contribute 0.1 percentage point to economic growth, underscoring the crucial role of cultural tourism in Hong Kong's economic vitality. In addition to consumer spending, Hong Kong's foreign trade is also rebounding, whereby the total value of goods, imports and exports rose by 9.9% year-on-year in the first quarter, driven by increased demand from both the mainland and international markets. By the end of April, Hong Kong's various talent programs had received 290,000 applications, with about 180,000 approvals and 120,000 talents arriving in Hong Kong. Hong Kong remains to be a dynamic hub of opportunity, a shining pearl of the Orient for the world to witness. And that concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, empower Global South to create a more inclusive world for all nations. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I hope the first half of your week has gone well, and if it hasn't, well, I hope the second half gives you something to look forward to. My name is Darryl Baptist. Thank you for watching. Good night.